Hello, I am Mrinalini and welcome to Never Before lecture series. These lecture series are powered by neverbefore.legal. These lecture series will be delivered by Senior Advocate S.M. Chandrasekhar. Senior Advocate S.M. Chandrasekhar has practiced over a period of 38 years, and during this time he has represented clients both before the Honorable Supreme Court of India and various other high courts. His major interests lie in the subject of constitutional law, company law, criminal law, service law and various other subject matters. In these lecture series, he will be addressing some of the most unique topics which the law fraternity has never heard before. To name a few: decriminalizing of section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act, constitutional torts, republic versus democracy, India is a republic, amendment, its process and evolution, two nations theory, reservation in elections is ultra vires of the constitution and the basic structure. Without any further ado, let us hear from the man himself.
The subject I will be addressing in today's lecture is constitutional torts and its enforceability. The endeavor is to understand whether there is any mechanism existing for enforcement of a right of a citizen, in particular the fundamental right to claim damages, compensation on account of injury suffered by a wrongful act or an act of the state or infringement of a fundamental or constitutional right before the constitutional court. The subject of today's discussion may seems to be something unusual or unheard of for many of us. It will be my endeavor to present before my colleagues the understanding of law and the research made by me, that is constitutionally permissible for a citizen to redress of wrongful or injury caused to the state act. The definition of tort, as we all know, in the schools we have been taught, saying that the tort is defined as a wrongful act and a infringement of a right other than under the contract leading to a legal liability. In common law, if a person sustains an injury on account of the act of another person, the right to sue against the other person is recognized. However, when an injury is suffered by a person on account of any act by a rightful or a wrongful act of an authority in exercise of the power in governance of the state, the said right of an individual arising out of the tort was not entertained on the ground that the state or the monarch enjoys the absolute immunity. This principle was based on a maxim, res non potesta pecora, which translates to the king can do no wrong. The medieval English concept implied that the king, being the son of a god, cannot do any injustice. Therefore, the king cannot be sued. This maxim gives defense to the state of a sovereign and the government immunity. This doctrine held field for a considerable length of time. The doctrine of king can do no wrong was not accepted by the court even prior to the constitution being framed and adopted by people of this nation. However, the mindset of the government has not changed. Governments even to this date vigorously oppose the legal right of a victim to a remedy of compensation in case of a sovereign function. The doctrine of vicarious liability also confers a right upon a citizen to make a claim against the state for wrongful act of a public servant. This is invoked by the court very limited case. The state is made liable for an employer for every omission or a commission or a wrongful act of their servant committed during the course of their employment. That on evoking the doctrine by the aggrieved person, the state always pressed into service the immunity as their usual defense to deny the legitimate claim, particularly in case of functions or acts of a police maintaining law and order, the army in defending the nation, acts of taxation department, similarly other function which the state exercises the power for welfare of its citizen, and the same is contended as a sovereign function of the state. There is another aspect. Certain legislature have put a rider making a claim against the state when the victim is required to give notice or mandatory required to take their consent to maintain a suit or initiate any proceeding. For example, section 80 notice under the Code of Civil Procedure, this is a recognition of their alleged defense of sovereign immunity. Every statute contains a provision to protect the officer from being prosecuted by way of a suit or a criminal proceedings. To give immunity to the government servant, no suit or a prosecution or other legal proceeding shall lie against any officer, employee, agency or people in respect of anything which is good, done in good faith, while acting or purporting to act in discharge of their official duty under a particular enactment. Providing of a immunity in favor of an employee or an agent of the state is only with an intention to discharge his duties without any fear. However, the state being the master of his servant, it is liable to be prosecuted for injury caused to its citizen. There cannot be any immunity in favor of a state. The doctrine of vicarious liability would apply if the acts are not bona fide and the servant will be personally liable along with the master. The constitutional courts are slow in granting any relief to the victim unless it is shown that the wrong is so imminent that the victim cannot be sent without adequate compensation. In the recent times, the courts are granting compensation in case of sexual harassment, custodial death, custodial violence by the police, death in case of encounter if it is fake, handcuffing of an accused, illegal detention, medical negligence and police atrocities. Indian courts has been adjudicating the claim of such aggrieved person even in the absence of any statute governing the law of torts. Though several attempts to the legislation, a Tort Liability Act were attempted, none has fulfilled to this date. There is no statute or a defined mechanism for avoiding compensation by the courts to remedy the victim's loss and infringement of a fundamental right. Upon the recommendation of a law commission to bring a legislation to remedy the liability in torts, a bill was introduced in Parliament on 22nd May 1967. The proposed act was to be called the Government Liability in Torts Act 1969. The bill was introduced on 22nd May 1967. The Rajya Sabha discussed on the motion on 13th May 1968. Several parliamentary committees meetings were convened, calling upon the objection from the state government, state bar council, bar association and persons of eminence. Since then several meetings have taken place by a parliamentary committee to attain the said object, but unfortunately the act was not passed in the parliament as required under the constitution. This legislation has remained a dream of a citizen and now it is left to the sweet wisdom and realization of the legislature to make such a law at an opportune time. The quick glance of the bill and discussion reveals that the legislative body is fixated upon the concept of exemption to certain acts committed by its employee in exercise of the alleged sovereign function under a mistaken notion that there is absolute immunity in favor of the state in respect of a sovereign function. In my humble opinion, the concept of absolute immunity in favor of a state in respect of discharging the sovereign function is not available on coming into the force of the constitution. The constitution was adopted by the people for governance of themselves by creating three wings: legislature, judiciary, executive. In the event of any wrong or an act by which a fundamental right or a statutory right of any other right in infringement as the result of which a citizen has suffered any injury resulting in loss of property or injury of any nature, then the judiciary is competent to award compensation, to restore, rehabilitate and award compensation to a citizen. In present times, the state activities all encompassing, there are no more restriction to a sovereign function. The state is carrying on several activities which are non-sovereign function either by themselves or by engaging the contractors or agent. Therefore, the state is under an obligation to make up for the loss suffered or caused to a citizen on account of discharge of the government function, though it is employees or agents. The courts are awarding compensation in rarest of rare cases, but the extent of adjudication for the torts against the state is not to the extent that is required in the normal course. as there is no statute regulating the torts. In case of violation of a contractual obligation by the state in exercise of the power under article 298 and 299 of the Constitution of India, the dispute resolution mechanism is stipulated in terms of a contract, and the party who suffers at the hands of the government or the state, they have a remedy of filing a suit or going for an arbitration as contemplated under the agreement. In events of violation of such a case, there is no issue with regard to the deficiency or otherwise in enforcement of their right. The question that I am trying to address in this lecture or the actual bona fide contention is with regard to violation of a fundamental right by the state government in discharge of a function, whether sovereign function or otherwise, when the victim has no statutory remedy. The judicial development indicates that in case of steam navigation, the state of Rajasthan versus Vidyavati, Kasturi Lal Ram Jain, and there are several other cases. The Supreme Court has been awarding compensation in case of non-sovereign function. As far as sovereign functions are concerned, the courts are very slow and reluctant to give any compensation or rehabilitation of the victim. Thus, even though the forum is not prescribed and no legislation is drafted, it is the constitutional court which requires to remedy the victim or a citizen in case of constitutional obligation of rendering justice to a citizen who have suffered at the hands of the state. In my experience at the bar, I have come across some of the matters where a citizen's right have been infringed in the course of government exercising their statutory constitutional obligation, compliance of the court directives for overall greater good of a people and their safety, whereas the individuals are left to fend for himself, being an end of their livelihood and entrepreneurship. For example, banning of Khansari sugar industries, discouraging the mini cement plants on the ground that they are not viable, closure of mining industries on the ground that they are affecting the ecology, shifting of chemical industries on the ground that they are causing pollution. A lot of such industries have been the victim of urban expansion, change in the government policy, which are led to the shifting or closure or ban of industries, and due to the absence of appropriate remedial mechanism or rehabilitation, the civil courts have no jurisdiction to entertain such aggrieved, as they are left high and dry, huge national economic and social loss. The state is in the process of exercising of its power in compliance with the social obligation or any other act in the larger public interest, subject to individual to injury or infringement of a fundamental right, statutory right. Such a citizen is left high and dry without awarding any compensation towards the loss caused to a citizen. As per the present practice in adjudication mechanism adopted, the courts have been awarding compensation in respect to some of the matters which were wrong committed by the state or its agency, either in excess of their power or lack of power. In my opinion, even though there is no specific statute that the government torts liability due to which a citizen is left uncompensated for the acts wrong of the state bodies institution, there are certain constitutional provision relating to tortious liability of the state. The state being a juristic person as defined under article 300, there is, in my view, a constitutional court would be well within their power and jurisdiction to remedy such injury caused to a citizen by declaring the act of a state is in violation of a fundamental right of a claimant as void, and consequently evaluate the loss caused to a citizen by issuing suitable writs. In spite of the said constitutional framework, the court in the post independent era continued to rely on the principles laid down in the case of PO Steam Navigation Company. Article 300 of the Constitution, which specifies the liability of the union or the state with respect to the act of a government. The extent of said liability is defined in article 301, which declares that the state of government of India or of a state may sue or be sued in relation to their respective affairs in their like cases as the domain of India, and the corresponding provisions or corresponding Indian states might have sued or being sued. Article 300A of the Constitution of India is one such article wherein the citizen is conferred with the constitutional right to property. A citizen prior to the 44th Amendment Act 1978 was conferred with the fundamental rights to property under Article 31 of the Constitution, which has eventually amended made a constitutional right. The general understanding of a right to property is limited to sometimes that is tangible, but facet of property is so wide and multifaceted then it is understood. The Honorable Supreme Court in Ketino of Judgment has held that the property includes any property interest including temporary or precious interest such as that of a mortgage or a lease, hereditary interest in right of a management of a head of a Hindu religious endowment, any interest in commercial or industrial undertaking or business such as managing agency and the assets, organization and obligation of ongoing concern, anything acquired by inheritance, mines and mineral quarries. Property includes not only real personal property, but also incorporeal right such as patents, copyrights, lease, everything that is exchangeable value which is person may have. Property connotes everything which is subject to ownership, corporal, incorporeal, tangible or intangible, visible or invisible, real or personal, everything that has exchangeable value or which goes to make up the wealth or the state or a status. If the state discharges its statutory function, sovereign function or discharging of its obligation or any statute, performance of its social obligation, protecting the environment for the benefit of a larger public interest, public welfare, implementation of certain laws at the cost of another citizen who becomes a victim. Such a scenario, even though a citizen has complied all the law at the time of establishment and have not violated any of the provisions of law or guilty of negligence or arbitrary, but still it becomes a victim and suffers loss of property on account of infringement of his fundamental right by the state in discharge of its obligation. In view of the constitutional right to property, such a victim or a claimant can be deprived of his right, adequate compensation in recognition of his right to property on account of violation by the state act. The procedure for invoking the jurisdiction of a constitutional court by making a claim to right to property on account of infringement of a constitutional right, even though undisputably a citizen has suffered for various reasons. As indicated in the above paragraph, a victim can trace his right to a remedy through Article 299, 300 and 300A, read with Article 19(1)(g), Article 21 of the Constitution. The claimant has to invoke the writ jurisdiction of the court, seek for a writ of declaration that the state has infringed the constitutional right, statutory right by narrating the facts and specifying the loss of property or quantify the same in terms of money by producing the valuation report, by taking each aspect of the property value into consideration, make a claim for compensation. The courts have been issuing writs of declaration in addition to prerogative writs. A citizen will be within his right to maintain the writ and consequently prior for a declaration, a citizen or a claimant should seek for a writ of mandamus against the state or its agency for a proper rehabilitation, restoration and payment of compensation. A simple prayer for declaration of a writ can be stated as follows. Wherefore, the petitioner respectfully prays that this honorable court be pleased to issue an appropriate declaration, a writ or order or a direction, declare that the act of the respondent state committed an act of dash constitution torts by violation of article of the constitution. Consequently, direct the respondent state to pay compensation and take restorative rehabilitation measures on account of violation of a constitutional right to property under Article 300A of the Constitution of India. Pass such other order or direction this honorable court deems fit to pass the facts and circumstances of the case. In the matter of such nature, the High Court will be within its jurisdiction to declare and grant compensation under the doctrine of constitutional torts. it is to be noted that the above said view is not a foolproof method to get compensation whenever there is a violation of a right of a citizen on account of actionable acts wrongful committed by the state or its agency. This field of law, though has no specific legislation occupying the field, nor the precedent under the heading of constitutional tort, a proper mechanism should be developed and further evolve in times to come. It has to be noted that constant endeavor on the part of the lawyers fraternity to evolve, explore novel mode of claiming relief for the aggrieved citizen play a catalyst role in developing the framework of enforcement of constitutional liability. The sovereignty now vests in the people. The legislature, the executive and the judiciary have been created and constituted to serve the people. Thus, even in the absence of legislation as per the constitutional purport, it is the High Court, Constitutional Court are the only remedy to compensate actionable torts, injury committed or infringement of a fundamental right or a constitutional right by the state bodies. The same cannot be refuted by the state by taking the defense of archived doctrine of sovereign immunity, and it is time the same be reviewed and proper statutory mechanism is laid out in the light of the Constitution. That apart, doctrine of sovereign immunity has no relevance in the present day context, when the concept of sovereignty itself has undergone a drastic change. This change is overlooked in consequence of gradual growth of the concept of sovereign vest in the people. In my view, that the government being a juristic person which can be sued like any other person in the event of any injury caused to a citizen by the employees, therefore, the Constitutional Court will be well within their jurisdiction and the power to remedy such injury caused to a citizen by declaring that the act of the state is in violation of a fundamental right of the claimant as void. Consequently, evaluate the loss caused to a citizen by issuing a suitable writ or a mandamus or declaring a writ or any other prerogative writs directing the state or its agency to pay compensation to the aggrieved individual for any actionable claim or a torts act or a wrong.
Thanks for watching today's lecture. You will find the text script of the video lecture in the description box below. If you like the content, press a thumbs up, comment and subscribe to our channel, or log on to our official website www.neverbefore.legal and share your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. Please press the bell icon and watch out for our next lecture.